How to unlock a stiff back. Hey guys, Dr. Kresimir here, chiropractor from London, Ontario, Canada, helping people get and stay well through the power of structural chiropractic care and life by design principles. And on today's video, I'm going to be taking you through the steps of how to unlock a tight, stiff, and rigid spine. Now, before we get down to the exercises, there's a couple of things that you need to understand. Typically when it comes to health, it's not a and or approach. It is combining as many things to get you moving in the right direction. So this isn't to replace any stretch or any techniques that you're using or stretches that you're using, is what I was trying to say, if they're helping you. But this is something to think about and something to add to your routine. So one of the differences with the muscles around your spine is they are proprioceptive in nature. And now what does that mean? There are little tiny muscles that attach from vertebrae to vertebrae all the way up your spine. And the purpose of those muscles isn't to move the vertebrae. They're less concerned with movement and they are more concerned with firing information to your brain to know where those muscles are in space. And I know that sounds maybe even confusing, but really we look at muscles as primary movers, and most of them are, right? So if I'm trying to, if I have a shoulder that's stuck or that doesn't move and I'm trying to stretch, I want to get outside of that limit and I want to fight through that discomfort to improve my range of motion. Now, it's true that there are those types of muscles that attach to the spine, which is why I don't want to replace your stretching routine. However, the trouble with those proprioceptive muscles that I was telling you about is the more you try to stretch them like you would stretch a prime mover muscle, the more they have the tendency to fight back in a way which is they tighten up more, and then that leads to more rigidity, more tightness, and the exact opposite of what you were trying to accomplish. So I would like to take you through a really general whole spine routine, thinking about the different areas of the spine and the type of motion that is most associated with them, and giving you a strategy, and by the end a whole routine that should take you a few minutes, 3 or 4 minutes, that you can do every single day, maybe even multiple times a day, and because you're not stretching, just to take your spine through all of those ranges of motion. Now, that is a very long-winded but necessary intro to get us started on the right foot. Now, with that being said, we're gonna start with the upper cervical spine. So the upper cervical spine, so occiput, which is the base of your skull, C1 and C2 are very unique. Most of the rotation left to right comes from C1 on top of C2, and the occiput, because they're the condyles help you glide, a lot of your kind of really little basic movements come from that area of your spine. So the best exercise that I can recommend for that area underneath the base of your skull, if it gets really tight, is to pretend that there is a marker on your nose. And what I want you to do is I just want you to find peace with your neck, close your eyes, visualize that marker, and then gently draw figure 8 patterns. Doesn't have to even doing this, I can feel the motion start to improve. It doesn't even have to be fast or rigid. You don't have to turn your head all the way, but I want you to work within what's comfortable within what your head right now is capable of doing. I know some of you have a lot of degeneration. I know some of you, especially if you have had your spine analyzed by a structural chiropractor, understand that there's a shift, that C1 and C2 and CO. All those things could be getting in the way. But the point of working within that range of motion, number one, it just feels really good. It feels really comfortable. There's a meditative effect to it, and it helps unlock that area. Now, moving to the lower neck, the purpose of this part of your spine is flexion extension this way. So the way that we're going to unlock that area is you can do flexion extension. There's nothing wrong with this type of exercise or this type of movement, but there's more to it just than that. So I like adding some retraction and some protraction as well. So that one where you're tucking your head in like a turtle, and then you're doing the forward head posture where we're going back and forth like that. And you can add some flexion and extension. Moving on to the upper or mid back or the thoracic spine. The thoracic spine And I'm gonna back up so you can see exactly what it is that I'm doing. So the thoracic spine or the mid-spine is the area of your spine that's responsible for most of our torso left to right motion. It's not your lumbar spine, it's not your lower spine. So when I see people trying to twist their lower back like that, adding that motion, your lower spine is anatomically created to do flexion and extension. So if I'm on my feet and I'm bending over and then I'm extending back, that's the motion that's coming from my lower spine. So if I'm trying to force my spine into this sideways bending, unfortunately, one of the effects of that is it could be producing some instability or even some pain. So the solution or the strategy for this, again, this is household items. I have a very marshmallowy or soft foam roller. You can use a firmer one, you can use a pillow. The point is, you're gonna wanna trap it in between your legs. I have here a mop or a broom, very standard. Golf club works well, hockey stick works well. We are in Canada after all. But what I want to do to unlock that area of my spine is I want to put the foam roller or the whatever I'm using in between my legs, push my legs in on it, which will fire or at least turn on my core and my lower body, making it much harder for the rotation to come from the lower spine. And if I can get this over my shoulders, just really comfortable, I can focus again. I'm not trying to overstretch, I'm just trying to move, right? I want to get to the point where it starts to feel a little bit tight, and then I'm just coming back the other way. You can vary the speed. Sometimes a little bit more speed feels better. Sometimes a little bit less speed feels better. But my point is, the more I do this, right, and the more I visualize those areas where it feels stuck, they start to become unstuck and they move a lot better, okay? And the last area that we're gonna be talking about is the lower spine. So I just finished telling you that the purpose of the lower spine is to create this flexion and extension. You can even see, when I'm bending over, it comes from here, and when I'm extending back, it comes from here. Yes, most of it comes from my hips, but some of it comes from that part of my spine too. And I know that you know this stretch already, but the cat and the camel, so we're gonna get into this position. This is something we've all talked about. But again, the goal isn't necessarily, the way I'm talking about it, to force your spine up and then force your spine into extension. It's just to create that gentle motion going up and down, and then the more that I do it, the easier that it gets, and the more my spine starts to let go and move, not in a way that's forced and unnatural, but in a way that's very comfortable and natural. So what I want you to do, by the time you get a system down, that shouldn't take you longer than 5 to 6 minutes, and because you're not stretching therapeutically as per se, you can do it as many times throughout the day when you're feeling any stiffness or rigidity, and it's that repeated motion that's going to cause your spine to eventually relax and to move better. So just spend a couple of 30 seconds, a minute going through all those different gentle ranges of motion. Do it consistently over time. You're gonna love the results.